I do believe that was the sound I heard this radio make when I pulled it back out and it saw this replacement circuit board. So we are back with the Robyn SB-540D. I already got taped up so I don't scratch up the faceplate any more than it already is. So I'll be installing the freshly refurbished main board you just saw there in place of this one. This is the one where, for starters, it's broken, which, like I often tell people, that's not too bad. As long as it's just a straight crack, that can be fixed. But this is the one that just had so much butchery done to the underside. So, God knows what all's been done to this thing over the years. By the time you spend the time fixing this board, trying to figure out what the hell all somebody's done to this thing, I'll have half the time in just popping this one out of another radio, recapping it, and it's just a matter of desoldering wires off of that board and soldering them onto this board, basically one at a time. So, there's not like there's an excessive amount of wires. I mean, there's a lot of wires here, but as you can see, there's a lot of wires still on this board. They're just jumpers from one part of a board to another. So, so I just go through one at a time, find wires that come off the board, follow them over, desolder that one wire, solder it onto the freshly refurbished board. Just go back and forth and do that until all the wires have been changed over. Then once I get this board out, I'll pop his PLL board out because it does look a little bit cleaner than the one that was on that board over there originally. And then I can get it installed and get this radio back up and running. So, like I say, it's already unscrewed, and you can see it's ready to fall out. And yeah, you can see how tight these heat sinks were on those transistors that you saw in the original video. The damn screws are falling out of the damn driver and final transistors. This is, that's just broken solder traces on that. That was ready to fall out just on its own. So, yeah, we got the ribbon cable here. There's a bunch of wires in the front here to get changed. So, and actually, once I get all that put back in, then work's still not done yet because there's still more electrolytic capacitors to change. I still have to recap the power supply board and dismount this board, which is the keypad control board, and change all of these electrolytic capacitors on here. So once I get all that changed, this should be a good working radio again, and get a transceiver alignment done to it and be ready to go for another 30 years. Just as long as the radio repairman that uses a pickaxe to fix radios stays away from it. So I shall return after the board is swapped. Here we are partway through open heart surgery. You can see we're starting to get wires transferred from off of this board onto this board now. So, if you're ever doing anything like this, don't get too far ahead of yourself. I usually do I'm doing 3 wires at a time. I'll clip off 3. Yeah, don't try and unsolder them because you'll never get that back through the hole in this board. So, just cut them off. Matter of fact, if you look down in here, you can see here's 3 that I'd cut off. A violet, a black, and a brown. There's the brown, the black, and the violet. So, I just cut them off really close to the board. Not only that, then we have the loose wires up here. As long as they're 3 different colors, it's easy to, then you can stick the one in the board up here, look back down to this board, and see, okay, what's the next color? Next one's black, and, go back and forth. But like I say, it's a little bit faster if you do more than one at a time. If you just do one, stick it in the board, flip this board over, solder it, come back down, do the next one, it's going to take a lot more time. But like I say, you don't want to do too many at a time. You don't want to go cutting all the wires off of this and try and find where they go on this board because you're going to get totally lost. So that's just the procedure for doing this. So now it's just a matter of getting the rest of them all clipped off of this board and mounted up onto this board. And yeah, the more I look at this one, the more it's in pretty rough shape. I don't know if this will show up or not, but this resistor right here, you can see it right in the middle, right to the right of the black band there. It's actually getting hot. There's actually a couple resistors on this board. It looks like this radio had actually seen a lot of use, a lot of hours. So, yeah, actually I think this board just overall, I would have been chasing my tail on this board for days. Literally. I mean, like I say, by the time you do the break in the circuit board repair, try and fix all the screwed up shit somebody else has done, recap this one, and then Lord knows how much other shit I'd end up having to go through and troubleshoot. Or if you have a perfectly good board here. Now this board, they're saying this board might not have a problem because this came out of a non-working radio, but the reason it was non-working was because this IC was bad. So, you know, as long as this board, like I said, I can look at it and just see it's in a lot better condition. The components, there's no charred, burned up parts on this one. So, I'd say this one has many, many less hours than this one does. So, there's the procedure. So, let me get back to open heart surgery. Okay, the transplant is pretty much complete. So, we have completed the open heart surgery on this radio. And we got all the wires swapped over to this one, so it's in. After I get everything, get the PLL unit reinstalled, I'll rebundle all the wires, so basically it looks just like it did. You know, get this ribbon cable wrapped around all the other cables, have that wire tied, get it all bundled up. So it is quite a chore, because you're trying to not only, you know, make sure you get the right wires in the right hole, but of course you've got two boards standing here, and you're trying to get one. Once you get to a certain point, you've got both of them sitting side by side, and you're trying to take a wire loose, tuck it underneath that one, get back up to the board you want to install it on, while at the same time trying to make sure you don't get these wires wrapped around each other, because some of them go this way, you know, on either side of this PLL can, so you don't want them all bundled, you know, then you won't be, you know, end up with a mess like this, then you can't get the PLL can back in. But it's one of those, just take your time, pay attention to what you're doing, and it should go together fairly easily. Or maybe not so easily, like I say, it's tedious work, but it's not that hard. Mainly just pay attention. So there's the newly restored board installed, and then the old one here. Here's the old one. You can see it's a tad bit on the floppy side. And man, there's been a lot of parts changed on this. I can see audio amp, that's an ECG, which would be NTE nowadays. That was replaced. This IC's been replaced. I think all the big transistors have been. This one has been replaced. This one's been replaced. That IC's been replaced. I think it was the driver, I think, had been replaced. Or at least has had some serious soldering work done on the underside. A lot of the smaller transistors on there, you get to looking on the underside, you can see where they've been, you know, taken in and out. So yeah, this thing has had a shitload of work done to it over the years. And like I say, it's just pretty sad condition. It just takes forever to try and double check behind, you know, somebody else. You know, try and clean up this just absolute mess on a lot of this. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. So out with the old, yeah, and there's the octopus relay. I still can't believe somebody. That's just, yeah, whatever. What can you say? And it gets even better actually on that relay. That's one of the leads for that relay. I mean, holy shit, that wire. Yeah, how easy would that have been to accidentally bzzz out across it, because the strap for the transformers are what hold them in. That's, you know, to the ground. How easily that would have been to just short out. I mean, they didn't even bother to take the time to make sure they had all the wires clipped off. Yeah, pretty shitty installation. What can you say? So, there's the old one. There's the like new one. So, once I get the PLL can rebuilt, get this recapped, power supply recapped. Yeah, and I just happened to notice there's a little bit of circuit trace stuff out of the way here. We'll get it spun around actually. It's had some work done to it at some point in time. You can see it actually has a lifted trace right here. But other than that, I don't know if anybody's ever really probably changed. I'm not even sure. I can't remember what the hell's on the other side there. I'll just take the two screws out. Well, I'll double check that, and I'll make sure this is epoxied down and everything's good there. I can't leave that all loosey-goosey like that. But yeah, no need to change that from the looks of it. And that'll be the clock IC on the other side of that. So still have to put, I'll be putting LEDs in this. Power supply, yeah, actually I think this had new transistor put there. I was trying to remember from the underside. I think this one and that had been changed, if I remember right, from the looks of the solder traces. All the rectifier diodes are still original. So there's the progress so far. Next time you see this, it should, well, I guess it should be turned on and working. So, to return again. In the middle of still doing some more straightening up on this board. Oh, I was just kind of taking a break, looked and saw the cover, the bottom cover. This is the one that had the, if you remember, it had that, whatever the hell was, guide written on there, CB Yardman. So I've had to soak it in alcohol for, God, about a half hour to get that damn permanent marker off. And so, of course, I wiped the whole thing off, and I flipped it over, and, big black arky spot. What the hell was that? I don't remember seeing any smoked, totally smoked parts. Man, that's crunchy, man. That's on there. And then I remembered, and of course I held the cover up, see, well, what does that line up with? Remember I had originally said in the first video on this, I was like, what the hell, somebody got this cut? Well, it just dawned on me, after I actually got to looking at it, that's actually a capacitor used to be in there. There'll be two ceramic caps. Let me get this turned around so the light can shine in there. You can see there's one down there. You've got your line, both they go from line to ground. They go to the chassis. Now this doesn't have an actual electrical ground because it's only a two-prong plug, so it doesn't have an earth ground. So, you know, it depends on one of these, you know, for the neutral. But so anyhow, there's supposed to be two ceramic caps. The one there, it'll go from the fuse holder to ground. And then the other one that goes, because here's the other, follow the power line around, one goes to the fuse and then has the capacitor to ground, and then the other one comes from the power line and goes to the on-off switch here on the back, which kills everything including the clock. And then it's supposed to have, that's supposed to be another ceramic cap there. So yeah, remember I'm always saying hardest working components in anything electronic. Prime example, definitely hardest working component, and it went up in smoke. And some of the smoke is still stuck to the bottom cover. So yeah, without a doubt, this will be getting a new pair of proper X1Y2 safety rated capacitors. And that's why I use X1Y2 safety rated caps. I know a lot of people just, we'll just throw another ceramic cap back in there. That's the whole idea behind the certification on those capacitors, the X1Y2s, is they're safety rated, and they're designed not to do that. They're designed not to flame out and cause fires. They're basically designed to, if they go bad, they just go open. They're not meant to come in, you know, go to a dead short. So their failure mode is open, no harm. You know, so yeah, that definitely needs to be replaced. I just saw that, and I thought I'd tack that onto this video. I did figure out what those wires actually were. Like I said, I had noticed them before, but I had been too concerned with all the other shit that was wrong with the radio to really be paying attention to them. But yeah, that will be fixed.